You heard the news, and this happened yesterday after we got off the air, but Damian Lillard going back to the Portland Trailblazers. The reports were the Celtics were interested, offered him probably the vet minimum, but Tatum was recruiting Damian Lillard. He's probably not going to play all season.
No.
He's going to rehab from an injury and hopefully be back for the following season as he's getting into his mid to late 30s. Is it a good thing that they didn't get Damian Lillard?
I think it was a fun story for a couple days.
Yeah.
The fact that he could have been here. Would he have wanted to be like the sixth man off the bench, add the veteran minimum? Then he had Tatum's talking to him. He's like, oh, there might be some smoke here. But I think in the long run, I think he would have taken whatever Portland offered him. Because he didn't.
Yeah.
From when that happened, I don't think he was a fan of leaving Portland at all. He had set up shop there. He was happy there.
He wanted to go to Miami.
Yeah.
It didn't get his way. He went to Milwaukee, didn't work out. So now he goes back to Portland. Will probably end his career in Portland. I've always been a fan of the player, but I didn't really understand the fit here. They have small guards. Right. They have Peyton Pritchard. Derek White's not necessarily a small guard, but they have him as well. They need bigs. They also need guys that can play this season.
Right.
So I didn't want to spend money, even if it was the minimum or even if they somehow found a way to get him all the way up to the mid-level. I didn't want to pay him that to rehab. And then you're like, all right, now here he comes in with Tatum the following year. I also don't know how much is left in the tank in Lillard. He had a good statistical year this year, but at his age and coming off the injury, we went through this with Tatum. How many guys had really good years or careers after an Achilles injury? Few.
Right. How long will it take him to get even close to 100%? If he's ever 100% again, and whatever 100% in his eyes is.
So I'm honestly okay with this. I had a feeling that these two guys might have been using each other. Like, hey, get the interest up in Lillard. Also, the Celtics can look at it and say, see, we're interested in We're interested in these.
It was a fun story for a couple days.
Yeah.
But it would have been a lot to ask of him, too. He understands he's coming off of surgery. He understands he's a little bit older. Mm-hmm. He understands he's not the greatest defender. But how does he do accepting that role of the sixth man? You know what I mean? When you're a superstar, it's probably tough to take that step back.
Yeah, because I wonder, how is he going to fit it? Like, could you even play him and Pritchard together? Like, or would teams just sort of abuse that? Like having like the one small guard. And Pritchard does what he can defensively, but you can only do so much at that size. So, yeah, I mean, Lillard will go and, hopefully he comes back. It's good for the NBA if you like the more good players you have. Mm-hmm. But I don't think him being here was the right fit, right? That was the right answer or anything like that. So that's now gone. The other conversation that has come up with the Celtics is Jaylen Brown, doing a couple of interviews, also doing like whatever that was, a podcast or just like a stream with Kyrie Irving the other day. He's very confident in himself, which is great. What are the expectations for Jaylen Brown next year? For the team as well, but specifically for Jaylen Brown, who has talked a lot about what he has sacrificed and how good he is and, what he's given up for the team and all this. Well, now you're the guy.
Yep.
Like, clearly the guy.
This is what you wanted.
What do you think? What do you think it's going to be?
Well, that's the thing, too. It's like to see a guy say how he wants to be viewed, how he wants to play.
Yeah.
This literally it fell in his lap.
Yes. Like
now you have no choice. You are the guy. You want to be the guy. Show us that you can do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like Nick and say he's going to get 30 points and 7 rebounds and 12 turnovers. like Nick just sucked the fun out of it. No, I get it. But you're trying
Negative
to
Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
Nick weighing in.
I'm just hoping that it isn't to the point where you're like, oh my God, he won't stop jacking up shots. You don't want to look at it and be like, oh my God, just stop shooting. But that's how it is in the league. How do you get out of a funk? You shoot your way out of it. But he's going to have to take a lot. Between him and Derek White, there's going to be a lot of shots taken.
I mean,
and I hope it don't wear him out. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing, too. He wants all the weight on his shoulders. He wants to be seen as that guy. But as a fan, and I'm sure as management and coaches, like we can't, if we're going to even sniff the playoffs, if we're going to play a round of the playoffs, we need to have him have his legs underneath him.
So last year, looking at it, now obviously not all these guys played every game, but Jayson Tatum, when he was out there, took 20 shots a game.
Mm.
Kristaps Porzingis, when he was out there, took just under 14 shots a game. Drew Holiday took 9, and Horford took 8. That's a lot of shots you're taking away.
Right.
Those guys are all off the team. You still have Brown, who was second on the team, just under 18 shots attempted per game. Derek White and Peyton Pritchard combined for 23 shots a game. So the number for White and Pritchard will also go up. as of right now, they still have Anthony Simons. So like I'm a fan of Simons. That guy will take a lot of shots.
I was gonna say, is he a big shot taker?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know he handles the ball, but how often is he jacking it up?
No, he will take a bunch of shots. He'll take a bunch of threes, and with Missoula, he'll probably take even more threes than he has out in Portland. But he's 3 straight years around 20 points per game. Mm-hmm. Now, bad team, so maybe that number goes down, but he'll at least take some of the burden there. But my guess is Jaylen Brown is going to be towards the top of the league in shot attempts, which he already was even with Tatum. He really should be top of the league in scoring.
Yeah.
Like, I think he kind of has to be by default. And if he isn't, I think some of these comments are going to get kind of thrown back in his face.
That's the worst part about it. Mm-hmm. For a guy who sees everything and hears everything about him, when media starts getting after him about playing like that, who knows how it will impact him.
So he was 22nd in the league in scoring last year on just straight points per game, 22.2. The leader was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 32.7. So I don't know, maybe he doesn't take a 10-point leap, but it should probably be, if he averages 5 more points, that would put him 5th in the league.
Yeah. I
think that's what he should be.
That's a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, I think leading the league in scoring might be too far afield, but if he's top 5, because Tatum, even swap him out. Tatum was 5th in the league in scoring. Only SGA, Giannis, Jokic, and Anthony Edwards scored more per game than Tatum. So those guys will flip flop. And then the other thing that's going to be, sort of be telling with Jaylen Brown is, all right, you're the best player on a team that finished 8th or 4th. Like there's a big kind of sliding scale there. The example I bring up every single time is Scottie Pippen, who is like the prototype great number 2 player. Mm-hmm. Nobody really thought he was the number 1. And I'm not saying Jaylen Brown is Scottie Pippen. I'm just saying, like, in that regard, like a team that won a title, has the accolades, has like the all-star appearances, but you're like, he's not a number 1. When he had a chance to be a number 1, the team still won a ton of games. Mm-hmm. They didn't win the title. He statistically was great, and then also welcomed the great player back. Because that's the other thing that's going to be down the road, something to keep an eye on, is let's say Jaylen Brown has an unbelievable year, like great year, and then Tatum comes back. Like, is he cool with just being like, all right, now
let's go back 2 years.
Now I'm back to being the second guy again? I don't know. Like, it's a fascinating story. I do think that the Eastern Conference is in a state where even the current Celtics roster, which has no big men, like no big men to speak of, I still have them in the top 6, and maybe that's me being too
fanboyish.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
Maybe it is. But I feel like a Brown, Derek White backcourt kind of puts you in a good spot, doesn't it?
Yeah. I assume that they're going to make the playoffs. Again, just like you said, because the state of the East is, Cleveland's still a good team. Who knows what the Knicks and the Pacers are going to be this year? The Bucks are always in the mix. So it's not a crazy idea that they can get 10 teams get a playoff chance with the play-ins and all that stuff.
You got 10, so it's 10 per conference. 20 of the 30 teams make the playoffs. So
it's a little insane.
That you probably should.
It's a little insane. But if the season starts and you tell me that the Celtics have the potential to be a 7 or an 8 seed, I would not argue that one bit.
So you're looking at the odds to win the Eastern Conference based off of just like Vegas odds, right? So the Cavs are currently the favorite, followed by the Knicks. The Cavs haven't really changed their roster much. I feel like they have to. I feel like they have a massive payroll on their team, too, but we'll see. So Donovan Mitchell, they had the best regular season last year. Obviously, they were disappointing in the playoffs, but they're number 1. The Knicks, who just swapped coaches, but they still have the same roster, they're second. Then the Orlando Magic, who got my guy Desmond Bane. The Philadelphia 76ers somehow are 4th. I don't even consider them. The Bucks are 5th. Hawks are 6th, and then the Celtics are 7th as far as odds to win the conference, followed by the Pistons, which I feel like is kind of low on the Pistons.
Right?
I think
Pistons, we still think Pistons. We think between, after the 04 run that they had, they died. But then last year, they've rebuilt it.
They had one of the great turnarounds from where they were 2 years ago to where they were last year. They still have Cade Cunningham, who I'd put up there as top 5 in the conference, but they're low. But so basically, if you just look at that, they have the Celtics as a playoff team, but it looks like a play-in team, basically just on the odds.
Still in.
Not putting the Hawks or even the Bucks. Like, how good are the Bucks going to be?
Right.
They got rid of Lillard. They bring in Miles Turner. They still have Giannis, who I think is like an underachiever overall. It's like I think that just speaks to how wide open the East is.
It is.
And if you have Jaylen Brown, and as confident as Jaylen Brown is, that like, all right,
we'll take it.
You should be at the top.